Twitter is fucking crazy, chat. I guess that's really all I have to say to introduce this talk. It's the wait time tweet. Oh man, ding 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 ding. Winner. Thank you, Shiny Goomba. You nailed it. I made this tweet a few days ago. Honestly, just out of curiosity. I kind of wanted to kind of gauge the fan base and get a feel for how long they feel they waited for KH3. I kind of fucked up personally. I framed the poll a little incorrectly, or at least I would have changed it if I could go back. I would have said, how long did you wait for KH3? Not how long was the wait? Because I think if you frame it that second way, how long was the wait for KH3, then it implies that there is some sort of correct answer among the options, and you have to pick the right one. And I guess like the right answer is after E3 2013, because that's when it was officially announced. But really, I meant to phrase it, how long did you wait for KH3? Because I feel like that's a much more interesting question, and it's interesting to kind of gauge people's perspectives on how long they felt personally that they waited. Even though I messed up on that front, I kind of felt that the majority of people who are going to respond to this tweet and we're going to respond to the poll, we're going to recognize that fault, and we're going to be like, hey, it's okay. Like, I got you, BB. I'm going to still, I'm going to answer appropriately, and I'll give you my perspective. And for the most part, people did that. And then there were the people that didn't do that and were very, very adamant that there was a correct answer. Just asking how long was the wait for KH3 can be somewhat controversial for some people. For some people, if you say that you waited 12 years for KH3 to come out, they'll come right after you and be like, you are wrong. You're wrong, dude. How is that even possible? We waited 5 to 6 years because it was never announced until E3 came out and this and that. And like, I knew that those people were out there, but I kind of hoped that by this point people had calmed down and didn't really give a shit about that sort of thing and could just like answer honestly. But no, I was wrong. No, they out here, dude. They are definitely fucking out here. This is like the formatted response. It's literally like KH3 was officially revealed at E3 2013. It is the only right answer. And if anybody responds with waiting after KH2, then you're stupid and you're wrong. And you don't even care about the story, and you don't care about this, you don't care about that. This is the formatted response, and it like, I don't really get it. I don't really get why people respond this way. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Anyone picking after 2FM either barely knows anything, if at all, about Kingdom Hearts and doesn't care, or doesn't even like Kingdom Hearts and doesn't care. Those are both valid, but if that's the case, why even say anything? I look at a tweet like this and I actually don't understand, because I very clearly care about Kingdom Hearts and I care about the story and I care about the franchise. But personally, I would say that I was waiting after 2FM. Here's how I feel about this whole situation. There is no wrong answer here. There's no wrong or right answer, I feel, with this whole poll. Like, if you waited for 12 years after 2FM, that's fine. If you felt like you waited however many years after Dream Drop Distance was released and they had the little secret message at the end, that's fine too. If you feel like you waited after E3, that's fine too. If you feel like, I don't know, like you feel for some reason that there wasn't really a drought because there were constantly new Kingdom Hearts games coming out every 1 to 2 years, and you felt like there really only was a wait after 0.2 was released, that's fine too. I'm not here to judge anybody based on how long they felt that they waited. I never understand this hatred towards people that felt like they waited 12 years for KH3 to come out, and they waited after 2FM and they saw the secret ending, or they even saw the normal ending and thought to themselves, the ending is so open-ended, and the way that the story is going, there's going to be a big, climax. There's going to be one big, final battle with Master Xehanort. So why wouldn't there be mainline console game for Kingdom Hearts that is probably going to be Kingdom Hearts 3? And no one's wait is invalidated or wrong. It's very, very weird, but there are genuinely a lot of people that are like, hey, if you waited after 2FM, then that's ridiculous. I think the main evidence for a lot of people is if you feel like you've waited since 2FM, then that means you haven't been paying attention to all the cool side games that came out that are very, very important to the story. And if you don't care about those games, then honestly you don't give a shit about Kingdom Hearts in the first place, because you don't care about the story and you don't care about all the lead-ins and you don't care about all the new characters and this and that. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. Like, they very clearly care. It's just that they wanted to wait for the next console game. Maybe they didn't want to play all of the handhelds and they just wanted to play the next console game, and they wanted to play as Sora because that's the character that they kind of grew into the series with. Like, I don't feel like that's an invalid way to experience the series, even if that's somehow if that's how people experience the story or something like that. Even if that's the case, I don't feel like it's invalid to say, yes, I waited 12 years for, KH3 to came out, because I, saw the ending and I was like, cool, I'm going to wait for KH3, because that's how open-ended it was. A lot of people are saying this with the power of hindsight, with the knowledge that all of these handheld games that were coming out were very, very, very important to the story. And because of that, they think that you skipping out on those games is like heresy. It's like you missed a huge chunk of the story. It's super important. You're missing out on a lot of big important things when KH3 comes out. Yeah, that's with the power of hindsight, though. Because back in 2006, when KH2 came out and we saw the ending, it was very clearly open-ended, where it was like, yeah, we won the final battle, but we got like a message in a bottle from Mickey. And there's clearly going to be a new epic story to tell later on. And the only other handheld game that we got up to that point was Chain of Memories. So we had no reason to believe that there was going to be this long-ass drought between KH2 and KH3. We had no reason to believe that there was going to be all these side games that were going to be extremely important to the story at the same time. We had no reason to believe that until after the fact that it happened. Yeah, and a lot of that, like the long wait between KH2 and KH3, that's nobody's fault except Square's fault. Like, Square botched that whole situation up completely. That's nobody's fault. That's not the fans' fault. It's not the fans' fault for waiting for what they thought was going to be Kingdom Hearts 3 a few years down the line, and instead of a few years down the line, it turned out to be longer than a decade. That's totally the company's fault for mismanaging so many different things going on within the company. This is the thing. Like, I was expecting Kingdom Hearts 3 since I finished KH2, but the actual wait for KH3 didn't happen until the E3 trailer in 2013. Like, literally back to back. Like, it was anticipated since 2FM, but the wait itself actually started after E3. People were very clearly thinking, oh, there's totally going to be a KH3 after KH2 or after KH2FM. There's totally going to be a KH3 down the line, with the way that the story is going and with how successful this franchise is, and with how Square is clearly planning, like, okay, we're going to, fill in the gaps with a few side games, and then we're going to get to, a future mainline title. Like, that was the plan. It felt like maybe it wasn't written in stone. Maybe there wasn't an official press conference or an official interview, but there was like just this very firmly held belief. It wasn't like a delusional idea, like, oh, we're just like hoping and praying that that this is coming out. There's plenty of evidence behind this belief that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be a thing. Like, there was no reason to believe that the franchise was just gonna like fall flat and we were never going to get the epic conclusion to this trilogy. What was the way the story was going after 2 before Birth by Sleep or A Dream Drop Distance? Like, it was a note from Mickey, that was all, wasn't it? It was the note from Mickey, and I guess if you watch 2FM, there was like, this big Keyblade battle with like this old dude, this other dude that had Riku's outfit, and these 3 armored Keyblade wielders, right? And then there was Mickey happening, and like clearly like it was like this Keyblade war, like this big Keyblade battle going on. And so we were like, okay, so the story is going to continue. Like, everybody thought it was Kingdom Hearts 3, but it wasn't. But even if it's not Kingdom Hearts 3, the story is continuing. Why wouldn't we believe that somewhere down the line, because the story is continuing, because this franchise is so successful, that there would be a Kingdom Hearts 3 down the line, right? I think it's a perfectly valid feeling and a perfectly valid thought for a lot of us kids back in the day who were just waiting for another Kingdom Hearts game. That's all we were asking for. It's not like we were looking up news or interviews for the game or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, that was the hope. That was the belief. Like, the story was going to continue. So, we're probably going to see a Kingdom Hearts 3 in the futures at some point. It's a learned pattern. Kingdom Hearts 1 on the PS2. Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2. what reason would there ever be to put Kingdom Hearts 3 on anything that is not the PS2, 3, or 4 at some point in the future, right? Like that's how we framed our belief in Kingdom Hearts 3. We framed it in the belief that, well, Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 were both on a mainline console. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is also going to be on a mainline console. Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 followed Sora, Donald, and Goofy on a crazy quest and adventure. Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably going to do the same exact thing, and it's going to wrap up everything that we've experienced through all the games up to this point. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that there's nothing wrong with believing that. There's nothing wrong. Like, if they were going to change any of that, it would have caught people out of left field completely. People would have been like, what the fuck? They're going to put Kingdom Hearts 3 on the PSP? Like, why would they do that? Like, that would have been the reaction if they actually did that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure the rumor of KH3 had been going around on the internet for since 2007 to 2012. All right, boys and girls, we're going on a field trip. We're taking a quick little detour. Hold on a second, because within the last couple of days, I actually looked this shit up. Here we go. Ta-da! About the new KH title that will be announced after summer this year. Will that be a direct sequel? I'm not sure how much I can say. I'll start off by saying that it's not Kingdom Hearts 3. Guys, they were putting Kingdom Hearts 3 in our brains ever since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. They were already thinking about it. They were putting it in our brains that Kingdom Hearts 3 was actually going to exist at some point, because they knew that's exactly what we wanted. So it's not like it was like this absurd, like, oh, there's no way that Kingdom Hearts 3 could ever exist without some sort of official announcement. Like, we knew that there was going to be something in the future. I'm assuming that a lot of hardcore fans would have at least seen something that would have led them to believe, like, okay, they're planning ahead for some sort of Kingdom Hearts 3 in the future. Oh, dude, okay. Actually, hold up. Here we go. This is it. This is the best one. This is my favorite. You can't wait for a game that was never announced or existed. Checkmate, chat. That's it. It's over. Teased. Troll. Oh my god. What's his reply? Oh, dude, you guys want to actually like look at the whole conversation? This shit's great. Sure. It's so good. It's so good and intelligent. There's a lot of thought-provoking conversation going on. Just two really strong minds really going at it and getting into the meat and bones of the discourse that is waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a great time, dude. And then at the very end, he hit me with the fat K, period. And that was it. And then he walked off into the distance. I find this topic super interesting because it just doesn't really make sense to me that people would attempt to gatekeep how other people felt about the wait. There's no correct answer. There really is no correct answer for how long people felt they waited. And I feel like there is plenty of evidence out there to suggest that after people finished KH2 and saw that there were going to be more games made in the future, that there was plenty of evidence to suggest, like, yeah, there's going to be a Kingdom Hearts 3. In comparison to this whole thing, remember when they made a fucking tech demo recreating the intro for Final Fantasy VII on the PS3? Immediately, the entire internet just fucking, oh my god, why would they do that? Why would they recreate the whole intro? There's totally gonna be a remake. Oh my god, it's gonna happen, dude. And like for years, the conspiracy theories just like flooded in, just like, oh, they're totally gonna do it. They're totally gonna do it. I can't wait for FF7 Remake to come out. This game that literally doesn't exist, and the only evidence that would suggest that it exists is this fucking tech demo that, by the way, they have done in the past. They've done tech demos of other Final Fantasy games, like FF8. They did a tech demo for that on the PS2. They did some tech demo shit on like the N64. This is not the first time that they did this, but because it was FF7, because it was Final Fantasy VII on the PS3, there were so many people out on the internet that just like for some strange reason believed 100% without any other evidence suggesting so that there was going to be an FF7 remake in the future. And I mean, it happened, but like that's what I would consider bordering on like, I don't know if that's gonna fucking happen, guys. Come on. Here's some other delusional stuff. Believing that Bungie is gonna round up the crew and they're gonna take over Halo and they're gonna make a kick-ass Halo game in the future. They're gonna take it back from 343 Studios. Just give me that shit. It's mine. It's mine now. and Bungie's gonna come back and they're gonna get the crew together and they're gonna bring Halo back into the glory days. No, that's not gonna happen. Me believing, oh dude, Tokyo Team is gonna come back, like the fragmented bits of Tokyo Team are all gonna come together and they're gonna kick Osaka Team out the door and they're gonna make Kingdom Hearts 4 and it's gonna be the greatest thing that ever existed ever. And everyone's gonna realize how wrong they were about Osaka Team. No, that is literal delusion right there. There is zero evidence to suggest that would ever happen. But people believing that there's gonna be a Kingdom Hearts 3 after Kingdom Hearts 2, that's not delusional. I think that's a fair bet. I think if you put some money on that shit, that's a good bet. You get good odds.